Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where he keeps saying it was the southern border. We needed to deal with the southern border. We didn't have to deal with the fucking Canadians. We didn't have to deal with the foreign exchange students. We just wanted the southern border to be dealt with. But unfortunately, we voted in the administration we have, and apparently that administration just does not like folks from outside the United States. If you're outside the United States and you want to come to America, you should see it as a sacrosanct privilege. And I am curious what this is going to do with us on the world stage, and how many people will start avoiding the United States going into the future. And so a big thing that I have, like a lot of people when they ask me questions, when I do one-on-one sessions with folks, is I get people from the rest of the world basically asking, how do they get into the United States, right? I want a job in the United States. And here's the thing, even under Obama and Biden, that's a hell of a question mark, right? I know I have a lot of friends, I know a lot of people that have come to the United States and, you know, come here very successfully and that type of thing. But the thing is, how do you get from there to here? That was a pain in the ass 7 months ago, and it seems like it's only going to get worse. Why I think this is interesting, especially in the technology world, is this whole idea that we have a very global industry, like we're all working together. And so we have things like conferences, you know, business meetings, all of that type of thing. And so one of the nice parts about with the US before, it was relatively easy to come here in order to do business and do transactions and go to school and that type of thing. As it becomes harder and harder to get into the United States, there is a real question of will the polls, I suppose you would say, shift to somewhere else for the tech world. I think about this with Web Summit. So, I go to this conference called Web Summit. It's in Lisbon now. So there's a Lisbon one. There was one in Vancouver a little while ago. They also have one in Dubai and that type of thing. And the curious thing is they used to be in New Orleans in the United States. They actually decided to move the conference out of New Orleans up into Canada. It was in Toronto, and it was just recently in Vancouver up there. And one of the reasons was it was becoming more and more difficult for foreign travelers to actually be able to get into the United States to go to the conference, right? And that's where I start talking about the practical implications of these policies of, right, people have to think about their options, even if they hate the United States, even if they despise the United States, but they want to go to Web Summit, and Web Summit happens to be in New Orleans. They're going to come to the United States, they're going to spend money, the whole 9 yards. The problem is you start making it harder and harder. You make it harder for people to get in the United States. Not only is it the option for the people, but it's also the option for the conferences and the businesses. Where does it actually make the most sense to set up shop? If you know that a big chunk of the people that might attend your conference won't be able to get to your conference, then it starts to make more sense to find some place where they will be able to get to it. So they've gone to Canada. So this comes up with the US. We are now going to start having a $250 visa integrity fee. So when you go and you try to get in the United States from countries other than a select few, that you don't need a visa for. You have to go through this whole visa process. So this is going to be a new fee on top of that process, and basically it's going to be like a security deposit. You have to pay the $250 fee to get into the United States, and then you get refunded the fee, theoretically, if they come up with a process when you leave the United States on a timely basis. The United States will require international visitors to pay a new, quote, visa integrity fee of at least $250 added to existing visa costs. So whatever the visa cost was before, tack on an additional $250 to it. According to a provision in the Trump administration's recently enacted domestic policy bill, the fee will apply to all visitors who are required to obtain non-immigrant visas to enter the United States. This includes many leisure and business travelers, international students, and other temporary visitors. In fiscal year 2024, the U.S. issued nearly 11 million non-immigrant visas, according to the State Department. Tourists and business travelers from countries that are part of the visa waiver program, including Australia and many European countries, aren't required to obtain visas for stays of 90 days or less. The electronic system for travel authorization fees associated with the program are expected to increase to at least $40 according to the bill, nearly double the current amount. If you want to come to the United States, you got to pay for it. Payment of the new integrity fee for non-immigrant visas will be required at the time visas are issued, and there will be no fee waivers. Travelers who comply with the visa conditions can have their fees reimbursed after the trip is over, according to provision. It's supposed to be something along the lines of a refundable security deposit. The Department of Homeland Security, the agency instituting the fee, has not yet offered specifics about the refund process or any other aspects of the policy's rollout. And this seems to be one of the big things with the Trump administration is make a policy and then have somebody else figure out how the hell to actually do it. Quote, the visa integrity fee requires cross-agency coordination before implementation, the Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said in a statement. A State Department spokesperson said the fee was established to, quote, support the administration's priorities of strengthening immigration enforcement, deterring visa overstays, and funding border security. Fees that aren't reimbursed will be, quote, deposited into the general fund of the Treasury, the provision in the bill says. The initial fee for fiscal year 2025 is outlined as the greater of either $250 or, quote, such amount as the Secretary of Homeland Security may establish by rule. And so that becomes the other interesting thing here. So you look at it, you say $250. Maybe you're a person that says, hey, if they want to come to the United States, they can pay a $250 security deposit. But the interesting thing about this is you get that $250 deposit in there, but then you say the Homeland Security Secretary can increase it based off of their own rules. And then the question then becomes, when does it turn into $500? When does it turn into $1,000? When does it turn into $10,000? And how is that going to affect people's thoughts with again, coming to the United States? I just feel like this is just another barrier that the Trump administration is putting up to try to prevent the normal travel most of us would consider for folks coming into the United States. Whereas, you know, the thought was the southern border. It's called the southern border. Deal with the southern border. Oh, that's what we wanted. But anyways, this is a new thing, right? He's trying to kick out international students, right? If you say something that makes him cry in a Facebook post, he wants to chuck out, you know, the international students. If you don't toe the line, if you don't kiss his ass, if you don't slobber on his ring appropriately, then you should not have the privilege of being in the United States. I get concerned with this because the United States is supposed to be the land of the free. Ha! That's funny. It's supposed to be the land of the free speech and all that kind of thing. And basically what this seems to be doing is just clamping down more and more and more on a type of people that he feels is easiest to try to target. So it will be curious to see where this goes forward and how much in the future does kind of like things with the with globalization, the technology industry, how much of that does start shifting to countries and to places that are more open to people simply being able to travel there. This may affect you, right? If you're running a technology business or an organization, if you're dealing with people around the world, right? If you are planning to have employees, international employees, and then you're planning to bring them, you know, for group meetings or whatever, this might be one of those things to consider and ask yourself, does it make sense to do that in the United States, or would it be more appropriate to do it in Canada or somewhere else? Just one of those things to kind of be thinking about there. What do you think about this? What do you think about a $250 safety deposit for coming to the United States on top of whatever other fees that there may be there? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think it's a good idea that $250 is the start and we have no idea where the hell this is going to go? Are you frustrated that our president seems to be trying to lock down our country in so many ways, right? A country that has been a proponent of globalization and the rest of it, all of a sudden is trying to lock all of its doors and kick people out. I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a great comment, or a horrible comment. Doesn't matter. All that matters is that interaction as far as YouTube is concerned. I am going to have another fireside chat on silicondojo.com. We have a technical co-founder that's going to come on and talk about his work trying to implement artificial intelligence into their platform and how well that may or may not have worked. So that is going to be coming up. So become a member of SiliconDojo.com to keep up with that. And that's all I got. See you later.